So guys, I just arrived the village. I don't like stress. Ooh.
Look at how beautiful she is. I really want to be like her.
The day Sophia's black car drove into Okaro village playing music louder than the chief's funeral ceremony, every single person stopped what they were doing and stared like they had seen a mermaid walking on land. It was December, and the harmattan wind was blowing dust everywhere, but that didn't matter anymore because something more interesting than the weather had just arrived. The car parked in front of Mama Chinedu's compound, and when the door opened, out stepped the most beautiful girl the village had ever seen. Her name was Sophia, but on the internet, millions of people knew her as the Gen Z babe. Her hair was long and golden like ripe corn silk, flowing down her back like a waterfall. Her skin was glowing like she bathed in honey and coconut oil every morning. She wore sunglasses so big they covered half her face, and her high heels were so tall that the village children wondered if she was walking on stilts. The entire compound filled up within minutes. Old women abandoned their cooking pots. Men left their card games. Children ran from every corner, their eyes wide with wonder. Sophia just smiled, pulled out her iPhone, adjusted her ring light, and pointed the camera at her face. "Hey besties," she squealed into the phone. "Your girl is back in the village. Let me show you where your fave grew up." Village vibes loading, but make it fashion. The villagers looked at each other in complete confusion. Who was she talking to? Was there an invisible person in the phone? But they clapped anyway because she looked exactly like those girls they saw on television, and having her in their small village felt like a miracle. That evening, the entire village could not stop talking about Sophia. Under the big mango tree where the elders gathered to drink palm wine and discuss important matters, the conversation was hot and spicy. "That girl is something else," Papa John said, shaking his head in amazement. "She looks like she fell from heaven." The other men nodded in agreement, their eyes still dazzled by what they had witnessed. But it wasn't just the men who were talking. The women had even more to say. They gathered at the village stream, discussing every single detail of Sophia's appearance while pretending to fetch water. Among them was Mama Ade, a 55-year-old woman whose life had been the same for the past 30 years. Every single morning, Mama Ade woke up at 5 o'clock when the rooster started crowing. She would sweep the compound, start the fire, cook breakfast for her husband and 5 children, prepare them for their day, and then head to the farm where she would walk under the hot sun until her back ached and her hands were covered in blisters. Her clothes were always the same old wrapper and blouse, torn at the edges and faded from too much washing. Her feet were rough and cracked like the dry earth during harmattan. But when Mama Ade saw Sophia that afternoon, something inside her chest started burning. It wasn't jealousy exactly. It was more like a sudden awakening, like someone had poured cold water on her face while she was sleeping. She kept thinking, why should that small girl enjoy life while I, Mama Ade, am suffering every single day? Does she have 2 heads? Are her legs made of gold? What is so special about her? That night, Mama Ade could not sleep at all. She kept turning and turning on her mat like a piece of yam being roasted on fire. Her husband, Papa Ade, was snoring loudly beside her like a broken generator, but she couldn't even hear him because her mind was too busy thinking about Sophia. She kept seeing that golden hair, those long eyelashes, those beautiful clothes, and that confident smile. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, when the whole village was deep asleep and even the night crickets had gone quiet, Mama Ade sat up suddenly. Her heart was beating fast like a talking drum at a festival. She had made a decision. A decision that would shock her family, shock the village, and turn everything upside down. If that small girl can live like a queen, she whispered to herself in the darkness, then I, Mama Ade, can also live like a queen. After all, are we not both women? Do we not both have 2 eyes, 2 hands, and 2 legs? She lay back down with a small smile on her face, finally able to sleep. But if she had known what her decision would cause in the coming days, she might have thought twice. Or maybe not. Because once an idea enters a woman's head and settles there comfortably, it is very difficult to remove it, even with a bulldozer. The next morning, Sophia woke up at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. In a village where even the laziest person was awake by 7. But Sophia didn't care about village time or village rules. She came out of the house wearing a pink silk nightgown that looked like something a princess from a Disney movie would wear. Her face was already covered in makeup even though she had just woken up. Her eyelashes were so long and thick they looked like two fans. She was carrying something that looked like a small sun, a ring light so bright it could probably be seen from space. The village children who were playing in the compound stopped their game immediately and rushed to watch her. Some of them had never seen a ring light before and thought it was some kind of magical device from the city. Sophia set up her tripod with professional precision, adjusted her phone, turned on the ring light, and smiled at the camera like she was greeting an old friend. Good morning, my beautiful people. Your Gen Z queen is here to bring you village breakfast content. But first, let me just say. She paused dramatically, flipped her golden hair, and continued, I hate stress. I don't like stress at all. Life is too short to stress, you know. We are just here to vibe and enjoy life. The children stared at her with their mouths hanging open like baby birds waiting for food. Some of them tried to jump into the video, waving at the camera and making funny faces. Sophia just laughed and kept recording, completely in her element. From across the compound, hidden behind her kitchen wall, Mama Ade was watching everything with the intensity of a hawk watching a chicken. She watched how Sophia smiled. She watched how Sophia moved her body like a dancer. She watched how Sophia flipped her hair and talked with so much confidence. And right there, while the morning sun was climbing higher in the sky and the village was going about its normal business, Mama Ade's decision from last night became stronger and more solid like cement drying in the sun. Yes, she muttered to herself, her eyes still fixed on Sophia. If she can do it, I can do it too. What happened 3 days later in Okaro village was something that would be talked about for generations to come, passed down from grandmothers to granddaughters like a sacred legend. Mama Ade had gone to the market in the neighboring town the previous day, and nobody knew exactly what she bought because she hid her shopping bags like they contained stolen treasure. She locked herself in her room that evening and refused to come out, even when Papa Ade banged on the door demanding his dinner. Woman, have you gone deaf? He shouted. I am hungry. Come and prepare my food. From inside the room, Mama Ade's voice came out calm and strange, like she had swallowed something that changed her personality. Papa Ade, there is bread in the kitchen. You can eat that. I am busy. I don't like stress. Papa Ade stood at the door completely frozen, wondering if his wife had been possessed by an evil spirit. In their 30 years of marriage, she had never, ever refused to cook his dinner. Never. He went to bed that night hungry and confused, eating dry bread and wondering what was happening to his peaceful home. The next morning, at exactly 9 o'clock, when the whole village was already busy with farm work and trading, Mama Ade's door opened slowly. What came out of that room made the entire compound freeze like someone had pressed a pause button on life itself. First, people saw the wig. It was bright yellow like a ripe banana, sitting on Mama Ade's head like a bird's nest made of gold wire. Then they saw her face, covered in so much white powder that she looked like she had fallen into a bag of flour. The powder was 3 shades lighter than her natural dark skin, making her look like 2 different people had been glued together at the neck. Her eyebrows had been drawn with a black pencil, but the lines were shaky and uneven like a child's first attempt at writing. The fake eyelashes she was wearing were fighting a serious battle with her real eyelashes, some pointing up, some pointing sideways, and some just hanging on for dear life. Her lips were covered in bright red lipstick that had somehow spread beyond the borders of her actual lips and was creeping toward her nose like red ants marching to find sugar. But the makeup was not even the most shocking part. Mama Ade was wearing a tight pink dress that looked like it had been painted onto her body. Every single lump, bump, and curve was visible, and the dress was squeezing her so tightly that she could barely breathe. On her feet were silver high heels, at least 4 inches tall, making her wobble and shake like a newborn goat trying to stand for the first time. In one hand, she carried a small ring light that she had bought from the phone accessory shop. In the other hand was her old Nokia phone that still had buttons on it. The compound was completely silent for a full minute. Even the chickens stopped clucking. Even the goats stopped bleating. Everyone just stared at Mama Ade like she was an alien that had landed from another planet. Her children were the first to react. Her youngest son, Emeka, started crying loudly. Mama, what happened to your face? Did you have an accident? Should I call the native doctor? Her daughter, Blessing, just covered her mouth with both hands, her eyes wide with shock and horror. Her oldest son, Chidi, looked like he wanted the ground to open up and swallow him whole. But Mama Ade, she just stood there with her head held high like a queen, completely unbothered by their reactions. She flipped her yellow wig, which immediately tilted to one side, making her look even more ridiculous. She smiled with her red lipstick mouth, which made the lipstick smudge even more. And then she said the words that would echo through Okaro village for months to come, "Relax, my darlings. Mama is just giving you Gen Z vibes now. No more suffering for me. No more stress. From today, I am a Gen Z mama." She attempted to snap her fingers stylishly like Sophia did, but because her nails were short and rough from years of farm work, the snap didn't make any sound. It didn't matter. Mama Ade was committed to her new lifestyle. Papa Ade came running from the backyard where he had been feeding the goats. When he saw his wife standing in the compound looking like a masquerade that got confused about which festival to attend, his legs stopped working properly. He stumbled, tried to catch himself, failed, and fell flat on the ground like a sack of Gary. "Jesus Christ of Nazareth," he screamed from his position on the floor. "Muhammad of Mecca. Ahmadiyya of Igbo land. Buddha of wherever Buddha comes from." He was calling every religious figure he could remember, thinking that surely one of them would hear his cry and come to reverse whatever madness had possessed his wife. He managed to get up, dust off his clothes, and approached Mama Ade with confusion and fear written all over his face. "Woman," he said carefully, like he was talking to someone who might explode if he said the wrong thing, "what is this that you are wearing? What happened to your face? Are you going to a costume party? Did someone bewitch you? Should I call Pastor Ezekiel or should I go to Baba Alawo's shrine?" But Mama Ade just waved her hand at him dismissively, like she was shooing away an annoying fly that was buzzing around her food. "Papa Ade, I beg, I don't have time for all this negative energy you are bringing. I am about to create content for my future followers. Please move away from my camera space. You are blocking my light." She then proceeded to set up her phone and ring light the way she had watched Sophia do it for the past 3 days. The problem was that Mama Ade had no idea how technology actually worked. It took her 30 frustrating minutes because the tripod kept falling down. 5 times the tripod collapsed. Twice her phone fell and landed face down in the dirt. But Mama Ade refused to give up. Finally, after much struggle and many Igbo proverbs muttered under her breath, she managed to set everything up. She pressed the record button on her old Nokia phone, not understanding that her phone couldn't actually record videos. But she didn't know that, so she just smiled at the phone with her badly painted face and started talking like she was addressing a stadium full of people. "Hello my beautiful people out there in the world. This is Mama Ade, but you can call me the Gen Z Mama. I am here to tell you that life is too short to suffer and stress yourself. From today, I am living like a queen. No more sweeping compound at 5 in the morning. No more cooking 3 meals a day. No more bending my back in the farm until I can't walk straight. All those things are now cancelled. I don't like stress, and stress doesn't like me. We have broken up forever." Behind her, Papa Ade was literally jumping up and down in frustration, shouting, "The woman, you have finally gone completely mad. You have lost your senses. The sun has cooked your brain." But Mama Ade just kept smiling at her phone, completely ignoring him, flipping her crooked yellow wig, and living her best Gen Z life. By the evening of that same day, the entire village of Okaro had gathered in front of Mama Ade's compound. It was better than watching a Nollywood movie. More entertaining than the traveling cinema that came once a year. People brought stools, some even brought snacks, settling in to watch the ongoing drama that was Mama Ade's transformation. She came out of her house every hour to create content, and each appearance was more disastrous than the last. In one video, she tried to demonstrate how to walk elegantly in high heels like Sophia did. She took 3 steps, wobbled like a drunk dog, lost her balance completely, and fell straight into a muddy puddle near the compound entrance. Her white dress, which had replaced the pink one because she wanted to change her aesthetic, became completely brown with mud. Her yellow wig fell off and landed in the puddle with a splash, floating there like a dead yellow chicken. Her makeup ran down her face in colorful streams of black, white, and red, making her look like a melting rainbow. The crowd erupted in laughter so loud it could probably be heard in the next village. Some people were laughing so hard they fell off their stools. Some were rolling on the ground, holding their stomachs. But did Mama Ade stop? Absolutely not. She stood up from the puddle, mud dripping from every part of her body, retrieved her wet yellow wig, placed it back on her head where it sat like a dead cat, and addressed her imaginary audience with mud in her teeth and determination in her eyes. You see, my beautiful people, this is what real content creators go through. This is authentic village content. The mud is natural, organic, straight from Mother Earth. I don't do fake things because fake is stress, and I don't like stress. The children who had been watching started singing a new song they had invented, Gen Z Mama, she no one cook, she no one walk, Gen Z Mama, aye. Even some of the women who had been criticizing Mama Ade started laughing and saying things like, abeg, this woman is crazy, but she has liver sha. See boldness. The real trouble started on the fourth day when other women in the village began to catch the Gen Z fever like it was a contagious disease spreading through contaminated water. It started with Mama Toyin, who lived 3 houses away from Mama Ade. Mama Toyin was 45 years old and had spent her entire adult life doing exactly what society expected her to do: wake up early, cook, clean, take care of her husband and children, go to farm, come back, cook again, sleep, and repeat the same cycle the next day. But after watching Mama Ade for 3 days, something clicked in her brain. She woke up that morning and told her husband something that made him choke on the morning gari he was eating. Papa Toyin, she said calmly while examining her fingernails, I have been thinking very seriously. Why exactly am I killing myself with work every single day? Look at Mama Ade. Yes, she looks like a confused masquerade, but at least she is not stressing herself anymore. At least she is trying to enjoy her life more. Maybe she is the wise one and we are the foolish ones. Papa Toyin, who had gari stuck in his throat, started coughing violently like someone was strangling him. What kind of nonsense are you saying? He managed to gasp out between coughs. But Mama Toyin had already made up her mind. By that afternoon, she had gone to the market and returned with her own supplies, a bright red wig that looked like it was made from red plastic bags, cheap sunglasses that made her look like a housefly, and a tight leopard print dress that was 2 sizes too small. When Papa Toyin saw her transformation, he didn't just faint, he fell so hard that he hit his head on the door frame and had to be revived with a bucket of cold water thrown on his face. But the Gen Z virus didn't stop with Mama Toyin. Within the next 3 days, it spread like wildfire during dry season. Mama Chinedu joined the movement, wearing a green wig that made her look like she had grass growing on her head. Then Mama Ngozi came out in a purple wig with matching purple lipstick. Then Mama Blessing appeared in an orange wig with gold eyeshadow that sparkled in the sun. Even young Auntie Shade, who was only 30 years old and still had some connection to modern trends, decided to become a Gen Z mama and went completely overboard with her transformation. The village square started looking like a comedy show that had lost its script. Every morning, at least 10 women would parade around in wigs of different colors: yellow, red, green, blue, pink, purple, orange, and some colors that didn't even have names. They wore high heels that made them walk like newborn baby giraffes learning how to use their legs. They recorded videos with their old Nokia phones, Techno phones, and some even with tablets, talking to invisible audiences about their no-stress lifestyle. The most repeated phrase in the village became, I don't like stress. It was like the village anthem now. Woman, come and cook. I don't like stress. Woman, bring water. I don't like stress. Woman, help on the farm. I don't like stress. The whole situation had become completely ridiculous. The men of Okero village were losing their minds. Their peaceful village had turned into a circus, and they were not laughing anymore. Every evening, they gathered under the big mango tree, not to relax and gist like they used to, but to complain bitterly and plan their survival strategy. Chief Adebayo, the oldest and most respected man in the village, called an emergency meeting. He was 78 years old, had seen many things in his long life, but had never seen anything like this madness. He banged his walking stick on the ground 3 times to get everyone's attention, his face serious like he was about to announce a war. My fellow men, he began, his voice heavy with frustration, we are facing a crisis that our forefathers never warned us about. Our wives have completely lost their senses. This morning, I asked my wife to bring me water, just simple water, and you know what she told me? She said, Chief, I am not your houseboy. Stand up and carry your own legs to the well. I don't like stress. Me. Chief Adebayo. The man who fought in the Civil War. The man who has been respected in this village for over 50 years. She told me to fetch my own water. The other men shouted in solidarity, their own stories of suffering pouring out like water from a broken pot. Papa John stood up, his face red with anger. My own wife told me to learn how to use the stove if I want to eat hot food. She said watching YouTube cooking videos is easy and I should try it. Papa Ade jumped up, nearly crying. My wife hasn't cooked a proper meal in 5 days. 5 days. I have been eating gari and groundnut like a primary school student. Yesterday I tried to boil rice myself and it came out like stones. Papa Toyin added his own pain to the pile. My wife spent my entire month's savings, 75,000 naira, to buy wigs, makeup, high heels, and ring lights. 75,000. That money was for fixing our leaking roof. Papa Chinedu's complaint was the worst. My wife now wakes up at 11 o'clock in the morning. 11. And when she wakes up, instead of doing anything useful, she spends 2 hours recording videos. Meanwhile the children are running around dirty, the house is like a pigsty, and I am doing everything myself. The complaints continued for over an hour, each man sharing his tale of woe. Finally, they decided to take action. They would march to Sophia's location and confront her directly. She was the one who brought this curse to their peaceful village, so she must be the one to remove it. They stood up together, about 20 angry men, and marched toward Mama Chinedu's compound where Sophia was staying, their faces set like warriors heading to a decisive battle that would determine the future of their village.